Hey guys, my name is Rob, welcome to Kinetic Rugby League. In this video I'll be giving you my Super League Round 17 predictions. So I'll leave a recap of last week up on the screen for you now, and as you can see, the mighty Saints and Hull Kingston Rovers decided to screw me over this week. Thanks guys. 71 out of 96 on the season so far, which is 73.96%. I'm pretty happy with. Still aiming for 80+% if I can get to it, but I need some 6 out of 6s. And don't think I didn't notice Salford. Don't think I didn't notice you trying to screw me over as well. I appreciate that you got it done, but I know your game, pal. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to cause extra misery in my life. Cut it out. We had the conversation last video, so it's done. It's squashed. And let's move on with a much more positive relationship. Kicking things off, we have Warrington Wolves taking on Leeds Rhinos, starting with league position. Warrington sit in 3rd, Leeds sit in 7th. In terms of recent form, they've both won 3 in their last 5 Super League games. And for power rankings, I have Warrington in 5th and Leeds in 8th. Looking at player availability on the side of Warrington, there's no Philbin, probably no Fitzgibbon or Wrench or King. We'll have to see about those last 3. Crowther and Ashton are both to be confirmed, so we'll see for the squad list this week. On the side of Leeds, there's no Bentley or Donaldson. Holroyd is to be confirmed, and we'll have to see about full fitness for Ackers, Lasoni and Russell this week. So we'll see what happens with the team list. But overall, Leeds look like they're struggling at the moment. They do look a little bit flat in attack. Defensively can be up and down. I think given their current situation, people might look at them and say, well, they're, a free win. At least for any decent team. But I think given their current situation, at least makes them a little bit tricky, because a new voice leading the charge around the camp can just change the culture. There's then a different mindset. They might mix a few things up, defensive processes, attacking styles, things like that. Might just make it a little bit tricky if they want to change things up throughout the week. So the positive is that it could make them difficult to read, but the negative is that they might not be familiar with this new process, this new way of approaching a game. So, but it depends if they actually do change anything. On the side of Warrington, they had 3, I think it was 3. Obviously that doesn't include the Challenge Cup final, but in Super League, 3 really poor performances. And then to come out like that after the international break, 48-0 against Huddersfield. I'm extremely satisfied with the number of points, but I think all Y fans would agree that the 0 is probably the most satisfying thing about it. Because my biggest worry was, if you looked at the back line, it was Ty, Wrench, Ratchford, King. That's 4 centres. Ty is not a winger. King is not a winger. And Ratchford has been a little bit iffy this season, to say the least, and Wrench defensively has some serious issues. So I was worried about the production and the defensive side. In defence, I have 0 complaints, especially from Connor Wrench. A lot of times Huddersfield got a 3-on-2, or what looked to be a 3-on-2, and he used his pace to at least shut that down and make it a kind of 2-on-2 situation, or at least cram the space so that the overlap just was really non-existent with the amount of space that was left. Roderick ties a brick wall in defence. He is ridiculous. And on that left side, Ratchford and King I thought were really solid defensively. And Holroyd looked good defensively when he came on, replacing Fitzgibbon quite early. Through the middle, the carries were fantastic. So I think Warrington would probably be fine through the middle. I think personnel-wise should be fine with the likes of Vaughan, Harrison. Musgrove had a great game against Huddersfield with the carries through the middle. And I think with Williams now kind of at 100% fitness after the injury stuff, he's been back for a good few weeks now, should be, fully fit. Dufty looked fantastic. And even in games where we've looked poor as a team, Dufty has still been incredibly individually. Drinkwater, still since coming back from his injury, has still been a significantly better player than before his injury and last season as well. So he's, and he had a great game against Huddersfield. So hopefully there's a good foundation to build from. And if Leeds will continue to be stale in attack, Warrington Wolves defensively will shut that down. I do think there will still be some holes in there, because Leeds individually, with the likes of Brodie Croft, Lockie Miller, Momirovski in some cases as well. Reece Martin a couple times has been able to break the line down the left-hand side. So I think Leeds will put up some points. But Warrington, if last week is an indication of them getting back to their best, then Warrington should be somewhat comfortable in this game. So I'm going to go with Warrington Wolves 30, Leeds Rhinos 18. Next up, we have Wigan Warriors taking on St Helens. Started with league position, Wigan are in first, Saints are in second. For recent form, Wigan have won 5 in their last 5 Super League games, Saints have won 3 in their last 5 Super League games, and for current power rankings, I have Wigan in first, Saints in second. For player availability, there's no Field, Leeming or Cooper, I believe, for this week for Wigan. Field's got a few weeks or months left to go. On the side of Saints, there's no Walmsley, Whitley, Makinson and Batchelor, I believe. And in terms of players to be confirmed, that's Metaltia, Clark, Horrell, possibly Lomax as well. We'll have to see for this week. But Knowles should be available for selection. But of course, again, we'll see with team lists. Saints are a little bit up and down against teams in the middle of the pack at the moment. I can't see, even though I still think Saints can be a great team at their best, they're not putting out their best on a regular enough basis to compete with what is clearly the best team in Super League right now. This Wigan team, I think, will be pretty comfortable. I imagine they'll be very comfortable in this game. That doesn't mean that Saints can't do anything. There are some cases in which this could be a low-scoring game, but I think potentially with the staleness that Saints have shown, they might struggle to score. And with no Field in there for Wigan, they might struggle to score. But I think at this point in the season, I just see both teams just going at it. Just fully going at it, not holding anything back. Because Saints, they really need to start turning things around. They need to catch up to Wigan if they want that League Leader shield. And Wigan, they need to maintain that gap. And they're constantly kind of fighting to keep the gap for when that game in hand comes into play as well. So I think Wigan's going to throw the ball around a lot. I believe Hampshire's going to play instead of Jack Farriman, but we'll have to see. Saints still missing a few key players. I think certainly makes them weaker in the middle of the park, and Wigan can dominate even with Walmsley in there and Batchelor and Metaltia and even Horrell Clark through the middle. And Knowles, Wigan is still stronger in the forwards. And on the edges, significantly quicker, smarter, more effective, more accurate with the passes. Just stronger overall in all departments. I think Wigan, as with the previous game, will just be in complete control. So I'm going to go with Wigan Warriors 26, St Helens 14. Next up, we have London Broncos taking on Castleford Tigers. Starting with league position, London are in 12th, Castleford are in 10th. For recent form, London have won 0 in their last 5, Castleford have won 2 in their last 5, and for power rankings, I have London in 12th, Castleford in 9th. For player availability, Parata, Campagnolo, and McCarney are all to be confirmed this week. On the side of Castleford, there's no Sim, Hall, Nemo, or Lewis Sr., and then you have Mustafa, Lawler, McShane, Hodson, and Putt all to be confirmed, all for different reasons. If what I'm hearing about McShane is true about retiring, it's very unfortunate. It is very unfortunate because I think he's a real solid player for that Castleford team. London, great effort against Leeds. I don't know if they'll be able to replicate that again, especially against a team. The way I described Castleford in my power rankings video was resilient, especially on the defensive side. There will be some tricky things that London will try to do, and they'll keep grinding away, but I think this Castleford team are just gritty enough, they're resilient enough to keep them out, keep the score quite low on their end. And then I think they'll probably be able to open up London a bit more. I think they're slightly more exciting on the attacking side than Leeds. Yes, I know Leeds battered them like 5 weeks ago, something like that. But I think if you've got Miller in there with Hoy, I think they're just a really exciting attacking team. And we saw, I think it was a couple of months ago at this point that Castleford completely dominated against London. And I think they'll kind of replicate that again when they go to their ground. But I do like some of the stuff that London's done. They've really tried to throw up some different attacking shapes. But defensively, they just don't quite have the same level of fitness, the same level of pace. They're just still on a different level. And in terms of personnel, are still unable to compete for the most part. I think this Castleford team is still too strong. Even though they're one of the sort of lower teams, I think they're still too strong to allow London to make this competitive. So I think Castleford should be completely clear in this one. but I think London are capable of putting up some points. So I'm going to go with London Broncos 12, Castleford Tigers 34. Next up, we have Hull FC taking on Hull Kingston Rovers, starting with league position. Hull FC are in 11th, Hull KR in 4th. For recent form, Hull FC have won 1 in their last 5, Hull KR have won 4 in their last 5, and for power rankings, I have FC in 11th and KR in 3rd. For player availability, Vulca Chapani, Keita, Houghton, and Sau, all to be confirmed this week. All for different reasons as well, and different time lengths. There's no Bachelor, and luckily on the side of Hull KR, Opicic and Gildar are expected to be available for selection, should be fine this week. I think, obviously the first time that these guys played this season was round 1. I think we can all agree that this Hull FC team is clearly a different team to what they were. I don't expect them to be as ill-disciplined. I expect a little bit more calmness, a little bit more tactical prowess and execution from this Hull FC team. I don't think it's going to be enough to trouble KR. I do have my issues with KR, I think, and as I mentioned in my power rankings video, there are some instances in which they struggle to control games. I don't think Hull FC have a main controller of the game. I would have looked at Reynolds to do that, but I don't think he's going to be there. So Truman could do it, but I don't think he's really that guy. I don't think Morgan Smith is a guy. Is it Jack Charles? I think that was his first name. Jack Charles might take on that responsibility. And when I did see him, it was all right. He took that weight on his shoulders to take on the kicking game, and fair play to him as such a young lad. So maybe there's something in it there where Hull FC, if they can get control over the game, if they win the kicking battle, maybe that's where they can trouble Hull KR. But I think the carries that KR have coming out the back, the speed that they have attacking the edges with Evalds, the individual brilliance that they can have from Lewis or Litton or Parcell through the middle especially, can be dangerous. So I think Hull FC will put up some points. Hull KR should be comfortable in this game, but I just think it'll be vastly different than how it has been in previous fixtures this season. I think this is the third time they've played now, third and final time, I think. So yeah, I think there'll be moments where Hull FC will have their moments, but Hull KR will just be clearly the stronger team in all departments. So I'm going to go with Hull FC 12, Hull Kingston Rovers 28. Next up, we have Leigh Leopards taking on Huddersfield Giants, starting with league position. Leigh are in 9th, Huddersfield in 8th. In terms of recent form, Leigh have won 2 in their last 5 Super League games. Huddersfield have won 1. In terms of power rankings, I have Leigh in 7th, Huddersfield in 10th. For player availability, Holmes and Charnley, both to be confirmed on the side of Leigh. And for Huddersfield, there's no Swift, Murchie, Masters, Deakin and Ikahihifo, and Kudjo's to be confirmed. Hewitt and Golding both to be expected for selection or available for selection. Huddersfield were poor defensively, so poor. I did think there was some good stuff in terms of attack. They actually looked pretty quick in attack. It was just in terms of like execution and finishing off the plays. Warrington shut them down very, very quickly, but they did spread the ball pretty nicely at times. They just really lacked the finishing product and the end product, defensive resilience and effort, and a kicking game. I think the only saving grace for them here is that Leigh, they haven't really put up many points in recent weeks. They've been really strong defensively, so I think Huddersfield might struggle to score again. So I've got them scoring low numbers of points because Leigh defensively have actually been really, really strong over the last month, but haven't been putting up too many points. Now, this is a great chance to go at a team that's really struggling mentally and culturally at the moment. Leigh could put up a ridiculous number of points, but going off what I've seen from both these teams, Huddersfield can have some moments, very unfrequently, not frequently enough, let's go with that. They might pull out some defensive masterclass from the backsides. But I think Leigh is another game where they should be clear in this game. It's another game I think they should be clear. But given the fact they've been scoring pretty low numbers of points, I think they'll score relatively low points. And Huddersfield will struggle to score against a team that's looking really strong defensively at the moment in the Leigh Leopards. So I'm going to go with Leigh Leopards 24, Huddersfield Giants 10. Finally, for this round, we have Catalans Dragons taking on Salford Red Devils, starting with league position. Catalans are in 6th, Salford in 5th. In terms of recent form, Catalans have won 2 in their last 5 Super League games, Salford have won 4 in their last 5 Super League games. And for my power rankings, I have Catalans in 6th, Salford in 4th. For player availability, there's no Takiaho or McMeekin for Catalans. Martin Zenon, both to be confirmed. I think they're still on long-term injuries, but no return date mentioned as of yet. On the side of Salford, there's no Sidlow, Cust, Foster, and Laffey, or McDonald as well, all to be confirmed actually, but again, they'll be for different reasons and different time lengths. So, I think that it will be a battle of the kicking games here. Catalans at home have been pretty strong this season, but I think when you've got Mark Sneyd leading the charge, controlling the kicking game, you're always in with a chance. I think Abdul actually has a really strong kicking game as well, but I think Mark Sneyd's is clearly better, but Abdul's is still pretty strong. Catalans have been poor defensively at some times, have allowed momentum to shift. I think that was a prime example was a game against Huddersfield a couple of weeks ago. Clear control and then just lost momentum. Salford, in some games, have allowed momentum to shift very easily as well, but for the most part can retain control because of Mark Sneyd. I think having Ryan Brierley back in there as well is going to help their team going forward. Even when Hankinson was playing at fullback, I think they looked pretty strong as well, and a lot of that was because of Mark Sneyd's kicking game. On the edges, Salford spread the ball extremely well, and defensively, the line speed that they had shown was great. And against a Catalans team that can be pretty stale in attack, pretty flat, and sometimes look one-dimensional, Salford will shut that down. Now, I think because Catalans are at home, and they have a strong enough kicking game, I think they'll make it competitive. But I think the difference being Mark Sneyd, having Brierley back in there, will be the difference maker. Just maintaining enough control over the game for 80 minutes. So it's going to be a very, very close one for me. And I think it's all dependent on, can Salford keep up their defensive line speed? And will Catalans be stale in attack, which they have been in some games that they should have been clear favourites in. So I'm going to go with Catalans Dragons 18, Salford Red Devils 20. So to recap my predictions for this week, I'm going to take Warrington, Wigan, Castleford, Hull KR, Leigh and Salford all to win. Do let me know your predictions in the comments down below if you have any. Also let me know how you got on last week. But that is going to be it. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you next time.